The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Fantastic Forum, assemble! I should take off the overlay. Fantastic Forum, assemble! You are watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you should stick with us. We'll be taking it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our intrepid senior reporter. He's next in line for the cowl. He is our resident Dark Knight detective. It's Oz.
This forum is indeed fantastic.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Next, he's the backbone, the pillar, the strength of Fantastic Forum, our nigh invulnerable brawler and resident strongman, Moses Magnum.
I did just direct a new music video.
Oh,
no. I think I could show it to you.
Oh, no.
Maybe he shouldn't have watched Thor.
Like
that's our fault, right? Like we pushed him into it. We gave him the hit.
The gift that keeps on giving this Thor movie. Friggin' Taika Waititi.
That's just a teaser.
Oh, thanks. As for myself, my name's Lawrence Young. They call me Mayor Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking to you all about the movie Funny Pages. And we are going to be talking about the new Disney Plus show, Andor, the latest installment in the Star Wars universe. So we got that going on. And of course, we'll talk to you all about whatever else it is that you all want to talk about. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him, this entire thing would not have happened. So shout out to Scott Rubin. Hope you're doing well. I know you're doing well. So, but still, hope you're doing well anyway. And we're going to go ahead and tell you how it is you can get down with Fantastic Forum. So here's how.
Want to get in on the action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
Indeed. As we said, we'll take your comments take comments directly out of chat, bring you into the show, such as Moses. Can you give us a witty chat comment?
Here. It's me, A-E-D. I think is how it's pronounced. As hi.
Hello. It's made, or is it like
me? Yeah, maybe
me. It's mead.
Yeah,
like because for Thor, it's mead.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Irregardless, hi.
Irregardless, hello. Welcome to Fantastic Forum, friend. I don't know whether that's a man, woman, or non-binary, but hey, welcome.
Or ultra-binary.
Yeah,
or
either
tertiary. Neary.
Please put Tiger Claw's comment on the screen so people can see that.
Let's see. It says those goats deserve an MCU show on Disney Plus. Sure, Moses would agree. Look, if that guy Daryl has a series, I'm sure the goats can get one shot.
Who's Daryl?
Daryl, the guy from Team Daryl and
Yeah,
Team
that's
Soul.
Laura's roommate.
Yeah, now he's the grandma.
Oh,
Like this thing literally has a series of people being his roommate in the MCU.
okay. Where do those pop up?
I see him on Disney Plus.
Oh, they're on Disney Plus. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I haven't watched that,
Yeah,
but I do know they exist.
I watched Thor Ragnarok. I mean, Love and Thunder again today, and
No, you did.
yeah, I did. And
No,
then
you did.
after it, I watched the other those little one shots because I never seen them because I never buy the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So I watched them now finally.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, Tiger Claw. You know, I've evolved. I'm not here to tell people what should and shouldn't happen on Disney Plus or as it relates to Marvel Comics or animated or movies or television. So if it happens, it happens, and I will probably watch at least one of those. I don't know that I can watch more than one. Like the goat screams, I don't know.
Have you
Like,
watched
even if they put like
a second time? Have you watched Love and Thunder a second time?
I have not.
Yeah. The goat screams sound different in the second viewing.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. They do. I'll show you. I got a little sample, like because the original one sound like this, but the new ones sound like this. Let's see. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I hear it.
there's a little bit of difference in volume.
I'm good.
You should watch it again. The movie's better the fourth time around.
Oh wow! Like I mean, who knows? I might try it again. I mean, it's right there on Disney Plus. You know, maybe I'll put it in, or put it on in the background while I'm doing something else, and see how I feel about it. You know, parts here and there. But yeah, I definitely, you know me, like I went to go see Doctor Strange. I think I saw Doctor Strange in theaters like 3 times.
The first
and
one?
you know, no, I'm sorry, the Multiverse of Madness, the last one. And you know, just one of those things where sometimes like I have different sets of friends that want to go see stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go again. You know, but
Oh wow! Larry has friends showing off his friends. People
that's not
Larry.
My cool friends, not you.
Yeah.
Listen, who did I go see that joint with to premiere? Who did I go with?
Me.
Okay,
Not
Wanted
me.
to get me out of the way in case I don't.
well, that's because you didn't come to. It was Mo's birthday. You should have come.
You just wanted to get me out of the way so you can hang out with your cool friends.
You're making that 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 good
See,
Moline money. You should have flew. You should have took your jet out.
It's Milan money now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Milan. Dang, I keep getting the M's mixed up.
He's doing liras.
What he was really doing, he wanted to see a review. So when his cool friends asked him questions because they don't know about comics, he'd be able to answer it because he already got the info from you.
Oh,
That's
there
what
it
we
is.
are.
Right,
We're his source of information. They can seem smart in front of his cool friends.
The wealth
right.
knowledge.
That's what I do. I get my Marvel insider information from the rest of the forum. Right. that's how it works for Fantastic
Hey,
Forum.
you just learned
Not
a
the other
fun
way
fact
around.
about
That would be
those
crazy. Huh?
You just learned a fun fact about those goats. You're gonna go up to your buddies like, hey, we watch this movie again. The goat volume reduced.
Right. That's gonna happen.
You don't even know
Anyway.
who it was till like 10 minutes ago.
Oh man. Tiger Claw's out here having a field day in chat. I love it. I love it.
See, our friends have exquisite taste for movies.
Wait, but I love that he puts typo. And is that for what's the typo? Like he put the sentence in again. What did
he left out exquisite taste for movies, and he left out in the other one.
Oh, he left out taste. Okay.
He was thrown off by looking for the air quotes button.
Oh man, yep, that's what it is. My friends have exquisite taste in
it-
movies.
last week we didn't get to talk about this, but did you guys see that they're bringing back the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie?
I saw that. They just announced it like 2 days ago.
Oh, was
Wait,
that? I thought they announced it last week.
They're doing
but
a
now wait. When
sequel.
you say they're bringing it back, you mean like they're bringing it back to theaters? Like, what do you mean?
No, like a sequel.
No.
It's got like Nightfall. Constantine, not Nightfall.
What is what? Wait,
Hey,
so Warner
this-
Brothers is gonna make a Constantine sequel with Keanu Reeves in it?
yeah. There's even a poster. Like, there's I think Boss Logic already made the poster. I don't know if it's an official one,
Wow.
but
No. It's Boss Logic. That's fan art, which is okay. Like, it's cool ass fan art. I'm just saying.
what really Big Man 24/7 says Hollywood ran out of ideas.
What a
And
big man.
And it's just one of those things like, we got a good Constantine now that they can make a movie with.
Right.
You know? Like,
Right.
like he's literally like I think he was in the Harley Quinn season 3.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just recently.
I'm sure that this dude is somewhere like I am not appreciated in my day. Because it's like this dude is as good of a Constantine as you can probably get without casting somebody in an R-rated movie that's like, and with a casting director that's actually like read comics. So, what's Tiger Claw talking about?
He says not only are they bringing that back, but Sony's bringing back the Karate Kid franchise. They literally delayed all their releases just to announce the new Karate Kid, and that one isn't even going to be part of the the Cobra Kai universe either. And that's like an insanely popular show.
Wait, what? Wait, so they're bringing back Karate Kid movies, but
Yeah,
it's not connected to Cobra Kai,
or Daniel
which is
LaRusso or any of those. Like,
which is the most popular Karate Kid thing that's happening like right now. They're like, oh, we're gonna reboot Karate Kid again.
that's what it sounds like, and it's like, it should be a no-brainer. Like, they can literally give you a movie to ruin the franchise without having it being part of the thing, and that's a hypothetical, but no, people are gonna really like. They're not gonna want to see a Karate Kid that's not part of that. Like, people are really, really liking fucking Cobra Kai.
Dude, I mean, have you watched it?
I watched it before you. I even gave you the first season so we could review it, and we never reviewed it because you never watched it.
Okay, well, I haven't watched this season that just came out, but
Yeah, me
I'm
neither.
caught up
Like
otherwise.
I watched it on the
Oh.
OG streaming service on YouTube, on RedTube. Like,
Oh, okay, Grandpa.
once it got to Netflix, I was like, ugh.
Back in my day, I watched it on the streaming service. It was reel to reel. No, what a big man. But yeah, okay. No, I feel you on that, and you are right, Mo. You did watch it like before it was on Netflix, and the salute to you for that, because you paid for, you're like that's how you know you were money magnum. This fool's like, I'll get that YouTube service too. Why not? You're like, YouTube Red, let's give it a shot. He's like, I got money to blow. But no, man, it's a good show.
Tiger Claw's asking, what if the movie is a prequel about young Miyagi? Which that could work, but then that's connected to the Cobra Kai in a sense. But from what they were saying, like they don't expect any connections to anything of the old movies or the show. Yeah.
But so would Mr. Miyagi be the kid in Karate Kid? Like, that would be actually a cool way to make like an Asian Karate Kid movie.
Yeah. He could be part of the Japanese American internment camps.
Except that would go against the lore.
Yeah,
I mean,
he wasn't.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, karate
he wasn't in America.
Through the family for like 400 years. Like I mean, I guess you could do something with Miyagi and Sato and how they're falling out, which I think might be interesting. But
yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. But I am shocked by the idea. Like, I'm not saying like take all the characters necessarily. You know, like I'm not saying do a Karate Kid movie and have like, you know, necessarily like Daniel and all those people in it. But I don't know. Like, if you're gonna make a movie, it would seem to me that the way to go would be making it a movie that goes to streaming with some of those characters at the very least. But
I think they should really just make like Karate Kid babies, like Muppet babies. Just make everybody little in the nursery.
listen, I would watch that though. I would watch that Karate Kid babies. Oh my god! And like Mr. Miyagi comes in to talk to folks, but like you don't ever see his face.
It's just
like Nanny. You just hear him talking. I would watch the hell out of that. I'm so embarrassed. Oh, jeez, man. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Huh.
That's
Okay.
the news that I was like, I mean, you know, nobody's talking about this fucking the concept thing really disturbed me.
Yeah, that's so strange. And especially considering like all of the movies and projects that they just shut down recently. Like,
right, yeah.
For all the things that they shut down and then you come back, the next thing that you're like, oh, we're going to do. And don't get me wrong, I get Keanu Reeves is like super popular. Like, I get that. Like, so I kind of understand to a degree where you're like, well, if we can do another, or if we can do a project with Keanu Reeves, we should maybe do that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, man. Like I don't feel like people look back on that Constantine movie like, oh, that was the joint. I think they're just like Keanu Reeves was in that.
It's a good movie. It's not a Constantine movie, but it's a good movie.
Even as a Constantine movie is okay, but it's not even like, you know. It's
well, Keanu isn't Constantine.
Yeah,
I mean, have the attitude. Like people complain about the hair, I complain about the attitude.
Yeah, everybody in it was great. Even fucking Shia LaBeouf was great in it as Chad.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just not a good Constantine movie.
Yeah,
you know, or so I've heard. No, I've read enough Constantine at this point to know it's not. At the time, I had not though. You know, and not even that. But I will say this: I knew enough that I was like, I don't know. I don't think this is what Constantine's like. like I don't know, but I don't. It doesn't, like in the same way how you watch that friggin' you can watch that Jonah Hex joint. You're like, I don't read a lot of Jonah Hex, but I'm pretty sure this is not how this is supposed to go. This don't feel right. You know?
At least he didn't do the sign of the cross.
Who Constantine?
No, Jonah Hex.
Oh, Jonah Hex. Oh, okay. I thought Jonah Hex did do the sign of the cross.
He did it in Legends of Tomorrow. That's why I stopped watching it.
Oh, got you. That's what it was. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mo. I can't keep up with all your beefs.
Yeah, if only there was an archive of shows.
we should totally, like, if we get to the point one day where we have our own Fantastic Forum app, that should be like one of the things, or like Moses's beefs. so we know who Mo's mad at, like, you know, and like it constantly updates
at any given moment in history, like what I hate.
Yeah. And it's like Moses's beefs. I would definitely want that to be a sec. Look, somebody write that down. I'm look, intern, write that down.
In 9/11, he was mad at this.
All the updates would be like right next to the news section, though.
Right? It would just be. It's like, how long is Mo gonna stay mad about this news story? That's what the app updates. Like a little ticker at the bottom is like, oh, breaking news: Moses Magnum, he's over the fact that Constantine or that Jonah Hex did the sign of the cross in Legends of Tomorrow. Turns out that guy's okay now. Yeah, man. All right. I guess we should get into some of this stuff. Do y'all want to start with movies first or TV?
Let's do TV.
Okay, let's do it. You got the thing, or do I need to do that?
I think I got it right here.
All right.
Also,
no, it's more about gel coat.
When the fourth round will...
Don't you call in?
does it look good already?
Jumbo Scampi for limited.
I love that intro. It's too long, and I don't care. No, I know you could, but I don't know if I want you to. We'll see. Anyway, so we are going to talk about Andor. It's the latest offering in the Star Wars universe on Disney Plus. It follows Cassian, the spy, the rebel spy, that we first got introduced to in the movie Rogue One. And it gives us some backstory in regards to how he became a pivotal part of the rebellion and his history. So 3 episodes premiered today, and with subsequent weeks or Wednesdays releasing 1 episode. I don't know if this is this a 6-episode joint or an 8-episode joint? Is it 10? Y'all, any of you know? 10. It might be 10. I'll take a look.
The way these 3 episodes played out, I think it might be 10. Because
the
3 episodes to really get him where he's going is it's too long for like if it was a 6-episode or 8-episode thing.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna 12 episodes.
Yeah, I mean that's about right too.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. And
there's a second season that's confirmed for another 12 episodes, so 24 total.
Yeah, that we did know that there was going to be a second season. I will just put it out here right from the beginning. I only got to watch the first episode.
Because bastard!
I know. I was trying to watch the other 2, and I didn't get to it before the show started.
I understand. Your cool friends aren't into it.
Look, that's what it was. They were like, "That's not Star Trek," and I was like, "I know."
That's a good argument, though. That's a legitimate.
Oh, boo!
This week I'm mad at 2 different things because last time you guys only read the first episode of first issue of Twig, and I was mad about that. And then Jay, I was supposed to yell at you guys today, and then Jay's not here. So then that happened. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give Larry some of his own medicine. I'm just gonna watch 1 episode, no matter how much I like it. And I'm like, nah. I think I'm just gonna tell him I watched 1 episode, but I'm gonna watch it.
And I ruined it again.
And then you read just 1. You watched 1 episode.
Yeah, and it's like I really like after the first episode finished, I was like, I really want to watch this next episode, but I had to mess around and go get the cat is sick, so I had to go mess with the cat, and so she's all right, just FYI. But
you act like you don't have Disney Plus on your phone.
What am I gonna watch Andor at the vet's office while the cat is trying to fight for life?
I mean, are you there? Are you there like with the paddles, or are you just sitting there waiting to see what that tells you?
I was defibrillating the cat. Yes, I was the one doing the chest compressions in between the shocks. I'm the one like when they're like, okay, you got to wiggle the tail so air gets in. I was wiggling the tail.
So air gets in.
Yeah, that's how cats work.
Yeah,
look, you don't know this. You don't own a cat. You only have a dog. It's okay. Next time.
Well, yeah, because cats are evil.
Look, She's a well. I guess she's not technically a black cat. I guess she's more grayish. She's kind
Charcoal.
of she right. She's like you're right. She's a Catwoman charcoal.
Right. But she's black on the inside.
Word. There it is. So but anyway,
She's
all
allergic
that to say, she's allergic to cats.
Yeah.
She's a cat that's allergic to cats. She's like, man. Or she just hates Boston. One or the other. I don't know. But either way. I had a few things going on today, and therefore I didn't get to watch the other 2 episodes of Andor. But I really wanted to watch it because the one episode I did get to see, I was like, I will say this. I was eager to watch or know what happens next. But what I will say is it was a strange ending to me. I felt like the ending for episode 1 was like, I literally was like, when that scene came, I was like, okay, I'm like, that would like, I hope they don't end here. Like, I literally said that in my head. I hope they don't end here. And then they did. And I was like, it's a weak ending episode. And obviously they knew that they were going to release 3 episodes. So it's not like, or the likelihood of somebody watching that first episode and just completely like saying like, okay, I'm not even going to give a second episode a shot is probably low. But still, it's like you should make any episode should be able to stand on its own. And I was like, and that's not me saying the episode was bad, mind you. I'm just saying that you should give people a hook so that they're like, I need to watch the next episode like right now. And I did not feel that Andor gave me that hook. It was just the quality of the show up until it decided to just end that made me feel like I wanted to keep watching it.
I don't even remember how it ended.
Right. Well, that's how uneventful it is. It literally was young Cassian, like while he's still, on his home planet, and he ran off to go hunt with the rest of the kids or whatnot.
Oh, I hated that.
Well, listen, I don't even know what that's all about. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to go look at the ship. But I don't know because, that's just an assumption I made. But at the end of episode 1, he runs off and his sister, which I'm assuming is his sister, is like, saying something to him in their native language. And we don't know what that is exactly, even though they do a good job of, you being able to like interpret what's being said, even though they're not giving you any like subtitles or anything like that. You kind of get the gist where she's like, hey, be careful. Like, I don't want you to go. Like, she doesn't want him to go. If he's gonna go anyway, he needs to be careful. Like, don't forget about me. Come back. Well, you get that whole vibe. But
here's my problem with that, and I'm gonna say this in a way that lets you know how I felt, but I'm gonna do my best to not spoil.
Thank you, Oz.
Okay, so you saw the kids and you saw the ship, so obviously you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna go explore it.
Right.
When this ran all the way into episode 3.
Okay.
It's not like, so they take their sweet ass time, which is kind of one of the things that annoyed me about it. What goes on in the past, I guess I should call it, all it did was when I saw certain characters in 1 or 2 of the episodes coming up, it just made me go, oh, okay. I'm not exactly 100% sure we'll see those related characters after episode 3.
Okay.
Maybe his sister.
Yeah, the sister I feel like we're going to see.
The sister he was looking for in episode 1.
Right. I would be shocked if it turns out that we don't see him reunite, or at least find the sister in one way, shape, or form.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure the sister's going to be in the rebellion, and that's where he's going to get radicalized, that she gets killed at some point. Right? Like, that's what... Seems like that's
I
where
don't
we're
know.
going.
I don't know. Like I just got here.
I'm mad at Larry like watching only one episode because it's like you had the like you said, the ending was a little weak, and the
Yeah,
episode itself wasn't weak, but it did end
yeah,
it weird, and
yeah. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
it has the little like the B plot that isn't really a B plot. It's all just issue 0 spread out across 3
Mm.
Yeah,
episodes.
the B plot. That's what annoying about it. It goes
Yeah.
nowhere other than in issue 0. But
But no,
I think if it was the first episode, no one would be
from
interested.
from a artistic standpoint, it kind of his journey now mirrors his journey as a kid, whereas he has no choice in where he ends up in this crazy galaxy that's war torn, you know. And that's kind of part of his. Even when he's talking to the Skarsgård, he's like, you know, it, the pride that they have is sickening, isn't it? You know, like when he's trying to like get into his head about it, where it's like they look at us like we don't matter, but they're gonna notice us, you know.
I forget.
And
That's the dude. That's the agent for the company.
No, Skarsgård is the. They
You-
don't
you
say
you
it, but I'm
haven't
assuming
seen the
he's the
first
agent of the rebellion.
he's not in the first episode.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but and that's kind of like, you know, between those concepts and how his life's been as a kid, like he just gets thrown out. He's in exile from as a child because of what went down, and then again because of what he did and everything. Just it's he's really like, I can see that when he died in Rogue One, he was like, finally, shit. Yeah. Yeah. And it's only 3 episodes, and I'm like, right, man, this dude like, the tone of the show kind of fits that a little bit. Larry, you wouldn't know because you only watched the first episode, but it's like, but as it goes on, he's like, there's few things he cares about, and he's getting ready to leave all them. So he's kind of like preparing because he's like, this is what I care about. But after beyond this, that's it. Figure
Well,
it out.
I will say, like, it's interesting because one of the things watching the show that was in my head, and this is not really a issue, or it's not a thing that I would say, but something that I know that fans have talked about in the past, especially when you start doing like prequel stuff. They're like, if you have a character who you already know the fate of, they're like, why does the prequel stuff even matter? They're like, we already know how this ends, how the story ends. You know what I mean? And I know for me,
I know. Larry, I don't want to cut you off, but I know what you would tell those people.
What would I tell them?
You tell them,
"Fuck you." Not necessarily in those words, but yeah. No, I mean, because like it's like it's all about the way you tell the story. And I know for me, like this first episode, I was like, man, like they're doing a good job of making this guy's story compelling at the very least.
I could just watch him walk the rain for like 30 minutes, like in that city, like the first 30 minutes of Blade Runner. Yeah.
I love, I feel like he has kind of like a bit of a quiet kind of intensity to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that, where it's like, because it's like, it's understated. It's not like he's a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? Like if he could go through life and not hurt anybody, he would. Like he doesn't want a problem. But if you bring a problem his way, well, guess what? Like he's gonna solve it. And that's an interesting like, again, I'm only speaking from episode 1 perspective, right? So that's an interesting character on one hand, and then from the first episode perspective, which I don't know if this, and you all would have a better idea if this ends up panning out or not than I would, but they're kind of set up the foil with that like manager for the security for the company's like security. He's like, well, I don't know if he's like assistant manager or whatever. I don't know what his official title is, but like that dude is like looking to prove himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's really interesting for him almost like as like a foil where it's like he's out here looking for a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like his boss, right? Exactly. Like his boss literally told him, like, "Hey, man, don't even worry about it. Like, I get it, and it sucks, but don't worry about it." And like even just the way how like the subtle detail of them saying like when the guy's like, "Did you modify your uniform?" And he's like, I just like messed with like the lining a little bit, and then I got a little tailored." And it's so funny, like looking at his uniform and how it fits him versus everybody else that works for the company. And it's just like this fool is out here trying to like. He's like, "Listen, I'm the best at what I do. I'm better than everybody in this whole company, and I need them to know." and like that is really interesting because it's like you literally have this guy that's like, if I can just like find like and this is again from the perspective of episode 1, if I can just find my sister, that's really all I need. You know what I'm saying? Like if you could just help me get to where did you last hear from her, see her, like tell me that, and that's all I need. Versus this other dude that's a complete tryhard. It's like that's a great like side by side for like characters that seem like they're going to come into conflict with one another.
Yeah, I thought because this show has a serious tone, and I like it, and I thought that guy, the officer guy, was going to be like the comedy relief, and the more you see of him, like there's a moment down like, that's it. He's gonna turn. He just hit the dark side, like somebody flipped the switch.
Yeah, we're gonna say, Mo.
Allow me to spoil it for you, Larry. I can tell you something.
Of course you want to. Go for it, Mo.
Like this dude
Please not a heavy spoiler.
This dude that literally like wants to bring him to justice, is he's chasing him down, and he doesn't know that this is the guy. Andor doesn't know that this is the guy that is basically creating this problem for him. And he literally has a gun to the back of his head, and they're in a dark room together. And then they just, what happens. But he, and I'm like, man, this is like he doesn't even know that this is the dude that like is gunning for him for no real reason other than the accident that he did or him defending himself or whatever. But they even told him like, nah, just sweep it under the rug. They were doing stuff they weren't supposed to be doing, and he literally said, when it comes to doing this report, brevity is your friend. Like you don't want to have all these things. He goes, we don't want a parade, just we'll sweep it under the rug. And yeah, it's like interesting to see that tension between the two. And it's not even, they don't even shoot it to like make it tense, but knowing what you know as the viewer is have that. And that's kind of like, it's a cool little touch because it's not even like plot like heavy. It's just a scene, and then you just see what happens in another scene after a cool little fight. No,
it like, and I feel like, I mean, again, unfortunately, I only got to see the one episode, but I feel like the even in that one episode, the show, like, and what I can say is this: I'm speaking like 100%. All the best parts of this show or of this episode, when I'm talking about it, all I'm talking about is the like quote unquote modern day stuff. Like the only thing that I got from the flashback, like, stuff from his home planet was that he and his sister, like he's out here like trying to like roll with the big dogs, and his sister is like, hey, be careful, what about me? That's all I got. And that's that and here's the thing. I'm not knocking it or anything because all of it is done well because it conveys what it's supposed to convey, despite the fact that you have no one speaking any language that anyone can understand. What I'm saying is, I feel like there's maybe what, 3 scenes of it? 3 or 4? I don't know exactly, but it's 3 or 4 scenes. And it's just like, at the end of the day, all I got from it, from the culmination of those 4 scenes, is what I just told you. And I'm like, couldn't that have been done in 2 scenes? Maybe. You know? So that's like the downside of it from episode 1 from my perspective. And it's not even to say like it's not like I dislike those things. It's just like I don't know that it need to be done. It could have been done more economically from my perspective.
It's almost like like in a weird way they're subverting the the way you normally do these things, and they're like, these people like prequels of characters their fate of, so I'm gonna give you a prequel within the prequel of the character you already know the fate of.
Yeah, you're right. It's wild like that. And here's the thing, like I had plenty of questions about these people and their way of life that I would have loved to have answered, but they didn't come in episode 1, and it's just like, okay, well, maybe they'll answer them down the line. I don't know. But as it relates to like all the modern day stuff, which is technically, or I guess maybe the better way to say it is the 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, right? It's BBY 5, right? All of the stuff that takes place in that era is like amazing stuff. And like, even like how you were saying, like it all feels like it's very intentional and very nuanced. Like even like, to kind of exemplify the point you were making previously, like when you have that guy, and I feel bad that I don't know his name, the commander or sub commander dude, when he's talking to the rest of his subordinates and like trying to get them to do stuff, and they are all like everybody else there understands the corporate culture. Like everybody else there is like, listen, man, all we're supposed to do here is like keep our heads down. They don't say this, but by their actions, they're like, all we're supposed to do is like just like maintain, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you're out here like trying to like be a hero, and this is not what we do here. This is not the hero corporation. Or it's like, or this isn't the hero branch of the corporation, if that's what you know what I'm saying. And it's wild because it's interesting how he's like telling people what to do, and they're like, okay, we'll do that, but you understand that, like, if we do that, it's going to be like these kinds of resources we need, or they're like, this is the amount of time it's going to take, or they're like, oh, we can do that, but you understand that, the people that live there, it's not normal. Like they get it. Like they don't come across as like incompetent.
Yeah,
they come across as like
neutered,
dude. Like yeah, neutered in one way, but also it's like they're like the end at the end of the day, and I like. Here's the thing. I guess I related to it in a way because I feel in some ways I've been that guy at a job where cats are like, dude, like. You need to like read the room a little, like where they're like, look, we get it, you got great work ethic, but this isn't the place for that. Like we get it, but this isn't the place for that. Like you're gonna be rewarded, but you're not gonna get rewarded for that. Like somebody's gonna mess around and cut you down for that. And it's like, like because on one hand, like, yeah, like I like to do a good job at things, but at the same time, I'm not here to like, it's not that I'm not here to rock the boat, because depending on what, I might rock the boat, but I can also read a room too and be like, ooh, I see what you're saying. Like, okay, look, I can tone it back a little. and I'm like, man, they're like sending him all the signals, like tone it down. But it'll be interesting to see how it works out for him, which you all have seen.
Yeah, it's just that's part of what makes this show exciting are enjoyable for me is that like these little like little character things and story things that just
Mm-hmm.
happen because a lot of it is not a lot happens in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
hero call to action in these first three. Like it's not till the first
Mm-hmm.
third episode where you're like, okay, this is where the adventure starts. But the first two, I'm like waiting. Okay, when does the adventure start? Like kind of with what's happening to
Yeah.
him, circumstances is like that, but that's not really it. Like even like him talking
Yeah.
about the piece of equipment he has, it was like a MacGuffin that lasted 3 episodes, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, and but aside from that, like it was just a really really well made show, uh, in the quality of it, and I really really like the fact that it's a more mature uh type of Star Wars
Yeah.
story that you don't really get a lot of. A lot of times Star Wars is all ages and leans towards kids in some scenes or in some
Mm-hmm.
story or injecting humor and in this one
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they injected any humor really.
Mm-mm.
There's the even the way they handle like how you talk about these people not being incompetent, but like having protocols for certain things, and to
Mm-hmm.
accidentally shoot a civilian, some guy
Mm.
gets half cocked, and the way they handle that is still like, man, they got that. How often does this happen? Because
They got a procedure for this.
yeah, he's like, give me your rifle. He's like, why? Because you're going to the pod. Like, make sure the pod is in the air. Like, he's gonna be piloting. Like, he can't be the guy that shot him because he's piloting the thing, making sure it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. It's wild, and I feel like you hit the nail on the head when you made that transition from exciting to entertaining.
yeah,
Where it's like, yeah, because I know, again, I'm only speaking from one episode's perspective, and I'll stop saying that after this one. But the fact of the matter is, I was like watching the first episode, and I'm like, no, I'm highly entertained by this, but I don't know that I could call it exciting. Like there was
yeah,
nothing that would really constitute an action scene, but at the
yeah,
same time, it was compelling,
yeah,
and there were moments that I was like, what's about to happen? And it's like realistically, like I think I know what's going to happen, but let's see if it pans out the way that I think it's going to pan out. And that was good stuff for me. And here's the other part of it, like what I was hoping for from this show, and yeah, what I was hoping for from this show is a true a story that really felt like it was being told in an expanded universe, like in
mhm,
the expansion of the Star Wars universe. Because, we obviously we've been told other stories that aren't Skywalker saga stories at this point, but all the stories we've been told up until this point, for the most part, are still like very much Jedi-ish kind of stories. You know what I'm saying? Like even like, you know, Mandalorian, as much as we enjoy it, it was like, okay, it's ended up still being like kind of surrounding
yeah,
like force users.
yeah,
And
yeah,
here's the thing, I'm not knocking force users by any means, because I love watching force users do what they do. And this is like the thing where this is why I'm really excited about the Acolyte, because as much as I love force users in general, I love Sith specifically. And we don't get a lot of stuff that focuses on Sith. Like, at least not in, I guess, mass media. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't get that from television or the movies. You get it in the comics more so. And so, like, what I was hoping for from this show was like something that feels like they're going to tell me a story that isn't necessarily like Jedi adjacent. And so far it feels like that's the case. And so I'm like, I feel like I'm going to see a story that's like more about the other people that live in the Star Wars universe. And so that's cool, because I don't need another Jedi story at this point. I'm not saying I don't want them to come. I'm saying I want Jedi stories and other things.
they have so much stories they can tell. Like when
Yeah.
you look at even the movie that nobody liked, the second of the Abrams trilogy thing, and
Mm,
you see those people that like the war profiteers and the Casino Planet and the slaves, like all
yeah.
those people have stories, and the Star Wars collectible card game. And I'm not a nerd; I never played that. I was one of Larry's cool friends, but you know, their whole like ad campaign was like, oh, what's this guy's story? And then just
Yeah.
from the movie, and then you get to play out that person's story depending on what part
Mm-hmm.
of the game you're playing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I love about expanded universe. And the show almost feels like you're reading one of those old expanded universe books, even with the little flashbacks and the little MacGuffins and how it takes its time to give you everything. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't read books, but I assume that's how they felt.
I think you're right, Moses. It's an astute observation.
Yeah. If I would write a Star Wars book, it would probably feel like that.
Right. Right.
I don't read
So
books.
okay. So is anybody got anything else specifically y'all want to talk about in regards to Andor?
Tiger Claw has one thing here. It says,
Okay.
Siths are evil, so it's going to be hard to watch a show in which the characters are treacherous. They'll just betray each other since Sith are not friends to one another or with one another because one will always try to kill the other.
Listen, Tiger Claw, have you never watched like Breaking Bad?
Or wrestling?
Like exactly. Like, I'm just saying, it's like, dude, like a Sith focused show could be spectacular. Like it's Succession with lightsabers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like easy.
Or even like some parts of like Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yeah, easy. Like it's like, dude, like don't get me wrong, I get it. Like I'm not mad at Tiger Claw for thinking that way because I think a lot of people think that way off the top. They're like, we want to root for somebody,
Yeah.
and it's like, but a lot of the time, or well, I guess in the advent of things like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, people realize that you can root for the bad guy.
Yeah. Goodfellas, it's all bad guys.
Right. And that's the whole thing where it's like it's not about being good or bad, it's about likable. Like if you can make the character likable, it doesn't matter whether they do good things or bad things because you're like, well, I want that person to win because that's the person that I like. Big man.
He says Sith are evil, but have an interesting perspective of peace through domination.
Right. Dude, the Sith are amazing. And this is why I love the Old Republic era so much because like there's no place where the Sith get more shine than in the Old Republic era. And it's not because and that makes sense because obviously when you start talking about the rule of two, which happens, like for the most part, like at the end of the Old Republic era, it's like once you start making it so you only have two people, like that whole thing becomes a lot more conniving, right? So it's easier to or maybe I guess I should say it might be harder to relate to those two people because it feels like they're scheming in the background. And but the acolyte, it sounds like, is gonna try to go ahead and make they're gonna try to thread that needle. Right? They're gonna mess around and be like, we're gonna give you two Sith and they're gonna be conniving and we're gonna hope that you're gonna root for our main character, which I think is still gonna be Palpatine, I think. Like I think it's the or at least that's what they said in the past. Like it's gonna be a show about apprentice Palpatine. So we'll see. But I just Sith are amazing, and everybody knows this because it's not like how you ask most people who their favorite character in Star Wars is. Like so many people are gonna tell you Darth Vader. It's gonna be sick,
Yeah.
and then And then after that, there's a whole section of people that are going to say, like, Darth Maul. You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying those are informed opinions, but there's a reason why those characters resonate with folks.
Fuck you!
Right. Exactly. Oz, you've been quiet. You got something else you want to say about Andor?
Nah.
All right, Mo, you're good?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I'm
Let's
having
rate it.
so I give it 4 goats out of 5. .1, I guess, by that sound. But yeah, it definitely, like, I wish it had a little more. Yeah, I like that it takes its time, but they gotta, just because you had take its time doesn't mean you can't. You got to fill that time with something. Yeah, and in this, I
Right.
think they made some things a little too long. Maybe the B plot a little too long. 2 episodes of that would have been good. 2 episodes of what I got in 3 would have been good. But I like what I saw. I like how it takes its time, but it was a little slow. But it's that's part of having a more adult type Star Wars show.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. But that knocks it down about 0.9 of a point.
Hence the 4.1.
Yeah.
Oz, what would you rate Andor?
I think 4 is fine. It's a little bit slow, and I think it's that B plot. The B plot just goes on way longer than it needs to. I'm hoping it's done after episode 3 because it feels like a
Gotcha.
good place to end that.
Yeah.
But I like that it's a Star Wars. It's a story that takes place in the Star Wars universe that isn't about Jedis and the Force and all that nonsense. Like Rogue One. And Rogue One is probably one of the best Star Wars movies since the originals because it doesn't.
I agree.
They have a little bit of that in there, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's not the point of the
Right.
story. It's just a really good story told in the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives it. That's what made me want to keep watching.
So you say you give it a 4?
Yeah, 4.
4. I'd do the same. 4. Yeah, it's a good
what,
start.
man?
Huh?
For what?
For
Screaming
lightsaber activations out of 5.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay. It's unfortunate. Next time.
But we'll use a goat just to be safe.
Oh no, not the goats. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I'm like, after we're done here today, I'm gonna go watch the next 2.
Tired Claw has a question.
Tired Claw has a question. What's Tired Claw talking about?
He says, so Andor is a show that deals with the politics of Star Wars, since we're dealing with the Empire Rebellion that's growing. Kind of, but it's mainly this guy's place in the rebellion.
Yeah, it's kind of how, like, the Mandalorian wasn't about the world after the Empire, but you get those moments where, like, he gets pulled over by the X-wings, so you kind of see, what this world is. Well, same thing. I mean, he doesn't deal with, in the first 3 episodes, he doesn't deal with the Empire at all. It's it's like a corporate police force or something they call them. So yeah, it's not about the politics, but you kind of see where the world is at this point, 5 years before New Hope.
Yeah, and it's Larry, you okay, man? Come on,
I'm making it. I'm sorry. I'm all right.
The cat has.
He gave the cat mouth to mouth. That's what happened.
Mouth to a-hole.
Whoa, wait a minute now.
That's why you're wiggling your tail, right? To get a good seal.
To give
no. Continue.
If you really love the cat, you would.
Man, I lost my train of thought. Oh,
He's too busy thinking about cat anus.
What? There's a reason why they pointed at you every time.
no. Is this the first show that actually gives you a date, like where it takes place in relation to the Battle of Yavin?
That's a good question. I'm not certain if that's the case.
The
Like,
Mandalorian,
I feel like
because I think they tell you at one point, like, oh,
Yeah, but this has a designation. Like it pops up. It says 5 BBY.
yeah. I don't think any other show has like a date pop up on the screen. I think that like I think Oz, like what Oz said is the way that it has happened, in the sense that either the show kind of indicates to you around when things have happened, because like in Mandalorian, like literally says, oh, it's been however many years since such and such, but it didn't put any dates on the screen. Or the other like shows or whatever, like Disney or Star Wars or whatever, will tell you that, oh, the show takes place at this moment in time, so that the fans know. But I think this is the first one that actually put the date on the screen for us to see. And yeah, no, it that's fantastic. Like, I hope all the rest of them do it.
Yeah, I need that, because even with the Mandalorian, like, yeah, but it's around 5 years after, but when the second season comes, like, well, technically this could have been 10 years, but you don't know how long. Like the shows themselves kind of did slight time jumps a little bit, So
no, I agree. It would be nice to have that timeline, especially considering, like, Star Wars, like, like for the longest time prided itself on that, where it's like, when we tell stories, we know where they fit.
What year was the second Death Star destroyed?
It's about 2
after the first.
ABY.
Okay.
I honestly don't know how many years it is. 2 sounds like it could be the case, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the second Death Star is the third movie, so
yeah.
I don't know how long that is. It probably is like 2 or 3. I don't know. Yeah.
Only we had the internet.
Mandalorian is supposed to be 9 ABY.
Jay, where are you, Jay? No,
that means that the second Death Star is probably 4 ABY.
Let's see. Yeah, I think the second Death Star is around 4 or 5 AB.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because yeah. ABY. The year of our Lord.
year of our Lord. Yeah, it's really interesting, the idea that we're talking about like all these stories that got told like basically within like a 10-year span, which is cool. Like, and trust me, it's like I feel like when you have these like IPs that like really embrace the idea of having a timeline and like trying to actually adhere to it, it's like it can be a phenomenal thing, just as long as you have people that are like really trying to adhere to it. Star Wars, and look, Star Wars might not be the best example of that, but it's still one of those things. Like the thing that comes to mind off the top of my head is like when you're talking about like Legend of Heroes, like the Trail series, like all those games, like they've been making these games for like, at this point, I think like almost 30 years, but they take place like almost within like a 10-year period. And so it's wild because it's just like, it's just a cool thing to see. And if you're like if you're a fan of that lore, to be able to be like, man, yeah, sure, that game was made in like, the late 80s, early 90s, but technically the game that just came out last year is like 6 years from then. Yeah. So anyway. All right. So we should dip to our movie review with funny pages.
Let's see here. Where is
theater, comic book theater.
Shout out to Tiger Claw for comic book theater.
Back when he used to show.
Right. Theater. So, Funny Pages is a movie about a young man that is adamant about becoming a part of the comic book or comic, I guess comic book industry. And his misadventures as it relates to trying to make that dream a reality. He's literally in high school and has decided what he wants to do with his life, which is become a comic book artist. And he's trying to make that dream a reality by any means. So I'm really interested to hear how you all feel about it. Now, Mo, I know like you brought this to the table, basically saying like, "Hey, let's talk about Funny Pages." So I'm gonna hold off just a moment because I want to get Oz's take because
I didn't watch it.
Moses,
I'm just kidding.
Stop it! Oz, give us your initial impression. Without delving into spoilers or anything like that. Just give us your initial impression on Funny Pages and what you thought watching this movie by the time you
Is
finished.
this a Mo movie or a J movie?
Right. No, that's a good question. That's a very valid question.
I thought it was a J question, but then you said Mo.
No, it's a Mo movie.
Oh.
No, don't change your answer though. Don't be like that.
No.
Tell Mo how you really feel.
Well, look, first impression, you guys know how I feel about slice of life stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like this whole thing is just a giant slice of life. It's just stuff happens, but it feels like nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it just kind of like ends weird. I was expecting for something to happen as the credits are rolling. I'm like,
yeah,
he's gonna move.
Or like he's like
reminiscing. I can see him breathing.
He's like reminiscing about that moment in his life after he's like winning his Eisner.
So okay, that's fair, Oz. Moses, you brought Funny Pages to the forum. What was it about it that made you feel like, dude, we really need to be talking about this movie?
Well, I just saw a trailer for it, and I'm like, "Oh, this movie's out," and it's about a dude that wants to make comics, and it's like an independent movie, and it's not, it's technically a comic book movie without it like being superhero-y, and it's a different, it reminded me a lot in style, a little bit in the trailer, to American Splendor, which is one of my favorite comic movies. So I'm like, but it's about a young kid that's like trying to realize his dream of being a comic book professional, which is all of our dreams to a certain degree when we're like at some age, right? And
right.
So I was like, you know what? Maybe we should all watch it. I hadn't watched it when I suggested it. And then when I finally did watch it, I was like, man, I think I'm sick of A24.
Why do you feel that?
Well, because part of what I saw was like, oh, it's A24 and it's about like, they take chances like this and it's cool. But the movie itself, I didn't think, it's kind of slice of lifey, but the main character I was barely rooting for him.
Okay, I can see that.
But it's like I want something to happen to him, like, and it's very slice of lifey. And then the movie's directed and written by Owen Klein, which is Kevin Kline's son. the actor Kevin Kline.
Oh
And,
yeah,
yeah.
damn. Kevin Kline's son is old enough to direct movies.
When you look at his picture, he still looks like he's
correct.
7. Yeah, and
Wait,
stylistically,
who?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I'm sorry. Wait. So Owen Klein looks like he's 7.
Yeah, when you
Oh,
look at,
okay, gotcha.
he still looks like a little kid, and but you know, the movie itself, it's like the way it's made, the way it's shot is interesting, but it's like stylized. It looks like an older movie,
Yeah,
uh,
it
and
does.
in some parts it's unnecessary. Like the only really good part was the beginning where he's talking to his art teacher, and his art teacher's pretty much laying that out for him. Like what the movie should have been was this teacher kind of teaching this kid how to be good at comics, like what it takes, kind of like Whiplash, you know, that movie Whiplash.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
that's not what it was. Like that dude literally died 5 minutes in a car crash.
Spoilers.
Yeah, so
Spoilers.
and that's kind of, you know, that's kind of what sets this kid off. So you know, to a certain degree, it's like he didn't have the mentor, and without that mentor, he starts looking for a mentor to be in comics, and he's so desperate that he just makes the wrong decision. So in that
Mm-hmm.
sense, the movie is like a warning, like, you know, you got to realize your dreams, but maybe finish high school first, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to live with these two dudes that watch TV on a computer in a sweaty room together.
So weird,
With a fish that like jumps out of its out of its aquarium.
dude. It's so weird.
Yeah. So you know, it did give me like Eddie Piscor vibes. Like when you
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
know Eddie Piscor, like he does a lot of this, like
Yeah.
as almost a web comic of what his life was like trying to break into comics or learning how to
Yeah.
draw. And I fucking love that. And that's like,
Yeah.
man. So this is like, man, did this guy steal Eddie Piscor's fucking story?
Right.
But,
It does feel like that.
I think at this point I want to option Eddie Piscor's life and fucking make a better movie than this. Just rip off this movie but do it better. You know, because at least I know
What happens to the main character in this movie is so uninteresting that they have to make everybody around him weird.
Yeah,
to make it interesting.
Yeah,
like everybody.
I mean,
friends to just random people he meets. There's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
No, and that is 100% the truth. Where it's like the main character, which, damn, is his name Robert?
Yeah, Robert Belchner.
Okay. So Robert, and here's the thing. I'm not saying Robert is completely uninteresting, because I don't feel like that's the case. But Robert makes a lot of bad decisions.
Because he's a kid.
Yeah, right. He hasn't even graduated from high school.
Like,
so
that's
it's like, you know,
decision right there was like moving out, and you know, Cedric the Entertainer once told me, and not you, Larry, actual Cedric the Entertainment. It's like, you want to be a comedian? Like, what's your support system? And then we asked him, like, what's that mean? What we support? Like, you dating somebody with money? You living with your parents? Like,
right.
Oh, yeah, I'm living in the basement, my mom's basement. Like, okay, stay there and become funny. That's your support system.
Right.
Don't be good. Don't be good. Like, you know, but this kid literally, like, okay, you want to draw comics? Like, stay at your parents till they kick you out when you're 27, but draw your fucking comics at
right
your house. This kid really wanted some adversity because he had none. You know?
Well, I mean, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's like I get it to a degree, because from his perspective, and I think that this kind of like actually touches upon the thing that you mentioned, Moses, where you're like, okay, the movie is shot like it's an old movie, but it came out like this year. But even the sensibilities of the movie are very much like
older.
Like, I don't know what year the movie is throughout me watching this movie, I was like, what year is this supposed to be? because, and it's not like a thing where it's like, it's not like things necessarily look like super old. It like, I guess it's one of those things where it's interesting because I feel like the way that the movie is shot and the way that things happen is played kind of ambiguous in a way, because you know that it's not the past, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it's the present either. Because it's like so that kid, right? Does he ever pull out a cell phone?
Yeah, he does at the very beginning when he has to go to like um he has to go to the comic book store for work, and
Mm-hmm.
so he pulls it out because his alarm goes off.
Right. Okay. Right. That happens when he's talking to his mentor. So wait, but at the same time, so okay. So it's his cell phone but okay, but is it like a smartphone or is it a flip phone?
It's a flip phone.
Okay. So he pulls out a flip phone. So it's like, when does this whole movie take place? Because, and they don't ever really answer that question, which is okay. I'm not knocking it, because you could technically have a flip phone in 2022, but if you have a flip phone in 2022, that's not like, nobody's gonna look at you like, okay, like, you're operating as a regular individual. Like, unless it's like one of those like Samsung flips where you flips open into like a giant screen or something, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like, but he pulled out like a regular flip phone, right?
Yeah. It looked like like he was a drug dealer.
Like a Motorola.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's interesting because I feel like that's all intentional. Like, I feel like they made you be like, no, he has a cell phone, but because all he does is like, oh, my alarm's going off.
Yeah.
That's all he says. He's not like, he didn't look up any text or internet or nothing like that. So it's just like, well, where are we at? But they don't ever answer that question directly. And that's okay.
I think they're in the somewhere in the 2000s, because they mentioned the guy worked at Image 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was talking about at that time Liefeld's line work was the whatever, and that would be sometime in the 90s.
Oh, or would it?
Well, isn't that when they started Image? When they did the Image stuff, they were like big. I don't know what year in the 90s, but I know it was sometime in the 90s.
Image was big in the 90s, but Liefeld was still working with Image in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but we got over him at that point.
And well, but that adds to the ambiguity. That's what I'm saying. Like,
it was Jim Lee.
It could be 2000.
I understand.
It could be.
You don't know.
It could be 2010.
So when your cool friends ask you about comics in the 90s and the 2000s, just know that it was Liefeld and then Jim Lee, and then
listen. In the 2000s, Jim Lee was already away from he was already away from Image and was like back at DC.
Right, and that's where he blew up even more.
But not blew up even more. Look, Jim Lee is Jim Lee. It wasn't like, oh, well, I'm gonna go to DC so I can become popular. Jim Lee didn't say that.
Not to you.
Jim Lee was like, I want security. Jim Lee was like, I need health insurance for my family. and Warner Brothers will give me that.
What he said was, I'm tired of being associated with this Liefeld guy. He doesn't finish books.
Oh, come on. Get out of here. Come on.
Come
on.
I'm done. Jay's right.
Image, listen, Image isn't Liefeld. Liefeld's one guy. It's like, look, you don't tell me Jim Lee's like
talk to Liefeld. He wouldn't feel that way.
Well, nobody's asking you how Liefeld feels.
My Image.
We're talking about the reality. It's like, look, you could be like, oh, I'm associated with Liefeld, or you could be like, I'm associated with Larson, right? Eric Larson, whole house, well, not his whole house, but his studio burnt down, and he still got Savage Dragon out, right? That could be who you associate yourself with if that's what you want to do for image, but that wasn't what Jim Lee was about. Jim Lee's like, listen, I'm trying to be corporate, which is okay. Look, that's worked out very well for Jim Lee. I'm not saying he made a bad decision. I'm just saying this isn't about personalities. This was about security for Jim Lee, I think. So, but look, I'm talking on things I don't know about.
Who the hell?
Apologies, Jim Lee.
Who the hell pays a colorist assistant to teach you to do inking line work?
Listen, you heard us say,
and if okay, forget the kid. He's an idiot, obviously. If you've created art that you plan to sell, why are you letting somebody who doesn't ink that you're teaching to ink on the shit you're trying to sell?
Well, listen, obviously that's the excuse he
18,
makes.
but why are you drawing faces on something you're inking? Like
that's the excuse he makes, but obviously that's not the reality. That's
the inking with the faces is easy because he was gonna black that part out, like in the way that he was just inking it.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Right.
Like,
listen,
this kid is obviously knowledgeable on comics and comics history. We all, the three of us, like, I mean, by 18, did you know the difference between a colorist and a inker?
100%.
Right.
By 18, I knew that at 14.
So this kid knows, like, off the bat, like, okay, he was a colorist. That's cool, but that's not what I need right now.
But he kind of knew that was a cartoonist before. Like, that's the job he got, but he started off cartooning like he did, you know. I don't know how he knew that, but he knew that because they mentioned that in conversation later. Yeah.
But also too, it's like a thing where if you're a high school kid, anyone that's in the industry that you have access to is somebody that you're going to be excited about. Like, and I can say that, like, listen, I damn near feel that way as a grown ass man. You know, so I can only imagine, like, I wasn't anywhere near or didn't have access to anybody when I was in high school. But, you know, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I didn't get, like, stuff signed by people. Like, I messed around and met, or not, well, maybe not met, but I was near Todd McFarlane, who they took a pot shot at, you know, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I didn't feel like, oh, I had access to Todd McFarlane in high school. And so I could totally get the idea where, like, if this kid is like, hey, all I want to do is make comics, and this guy used to work for Image, like, that's enough. I get it. Like, from a high school perspective.
Also, like, didn't you, like, go to, like, traffic school with, like, Steve Rude or somebody? Like, what?
You know, no, Stephen Platt, and it wasn't traffic school.
Uh-huh.
Right. Right. Not traffic school. We went to, like, my company at the time sent me to go learn how to use, like a class to learn how to use, like, digital camcorders to, like, shoot stuff. And Stephen Platt was in the class as well. And it was literally a thing where it was like, you know, which Stephen Platt most famously, I believe, at this point, was the artist for Profit. So he was like at Awesome.
So,
like,
you taught Splat how to use a camera?
No, I'm not. No, we sat next to each other as we learned how to use the camera.
Right, he cheated off you.
No, and the funny part was, you know, it's one of these things, like, literally one of these kismet kind of moments where, like, I'm sitting here, like, my company sent me here to learn this thing, and I'm sitting next to this guy, and, you know me, I'm just friendly, I'm talking, and I'm like, oh, you know, we're just like, hey, so before you were here, like, what did you do, or what were you doing? And he's like, oh, I actually work in comics. I'm like, really? I love comics. What do you do? Oh, I'm an artist. I did this comic. And this dude's super humble because he's like, yeah, I know what I do, but nobody else out here in the world knows what I do because the especially this is like early 2000s, so it's like one of these things where it's like
where the movie,
yeah, sure, huh?
Like when the movie takes place,
right? I get maybe who knows, right? But he's like, nah, no one knows who I am, and this guy's like, I'm an artist for comics. I'm like, oh, really? Like, what book do you work on? And he's like, I work on this book. It's called Prophet. You probably never heard of it. I'm like, Prophet? I know Prophet. I'm like, look, and I'm pretty sure I said to him, I'm like, Stephen Platt works on Prophet. Are you Stephen Platt? And this was like, looking at me like, this guy knows who I am. Like, and I'm like, yeah, like, dude, it's like, dude, this, like, because that guy's artwork is so intricate. It's so intricate where it's just like, dude. And so, yeah, but all that's neither here nor there. I knew who he was. It wasn't traffic school. We weren't criminals. We were learning how to use video cameras. Say again?
You taught him how to properly compose an image.
No, I didn't.
But it translates into art. I get it.
I taught Stephen Platt nothing.
Taught him about the triangle method of how to.
I was sitting here like, but that's the thing.
If anything, you taught him how to brag about himself a little better.
Look, I was just like, dude, I was to the point where I was like, dude, the way that you do your signature where it's splat, I love that. And he was just like that's what he knew. That's what he knew. Like, he was like, dude, this guy's like really a fan of my art. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like, come on. Like, you can't love comics at that point in time and not be a fan of Stephen Platt. It's like, come on, get out of here. It's like, Stephen Platt is what made Prophet what it was, pretty much. Like, don't tell Rob Liefeld. He doesn't know. He won't admit it.
Liefeld, he did a better cable
because he hired him. Like, he's like,
I mean, yes, you're right, and you're right. Like, and that's what you got to give. Look, Rob Liefeld puts a lot of people on. Whether you talk about writers, whether you talk about artists, PR. And don't get me wrong, I just say what
PR people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He put a lot of people on. So it's like he's not like. Cats try to pretend like this dude has like this huge ego, but it's like, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he doesn't have a healthy ego, but at the same time, it's like, how could you not, given all the things that he had accomplished in the amount of time that he did? Like, the dude is like 20, friggin' making millions of dollars drawing comic books and like having crazy parties with friggin' fast cars and hookers and cocaine. So, I'm not going to judge Rob Liefeld. He's grown out of that now. Don't come for me, Mrs. Liefeld. The end. So, at the end of the day, funny pages. No, but look, it's a wild movie.
I want to hear more about how you gave Stephen Platt notes on Prophet.
No,
what issue were they on, and what storyline did you
so
on?
At the end of the day, it's like, I agree that Funny Pages is more about the supporting cast of the main character. But I feel like that's intentional, which even from the beginning, which is so wild because, they talk about McFarlane, right? And they're like, oh, like, he makes a little joke like, oh, this guy thinks that McFarlane's, for initial Spawn run is some of the best art of all time. And makes a joke like, oh, McFarlane's art in Spawn is ridiculous. As a commentary between the two comic fans, right? But at the same time, if you look at the cast of this joint, like, everybody outside the main character looks like a McFarlane character.
Like, they look like they could eat. One could be Billy Kincaid, and then the other three could be the news Chiron people doing the news.
Look, like everybody outside of the main character, and maybe the parents. Like I feel like the parents.
I've seen that lady before. She didn't look like that in any other movie I've ever seen her. Like,
okay,
yeah,
and look, I believe
weird.
that.
That was weird. I was like thrown off by that a lot when I saw her. I'm like, did he pay for makeup in this movie? Like, what the fuck?
Everybody looks like a caricature, and it's really interesting. And part of that I feel is intentional because like a certain parts of the cast, the kid actually draws caricatures of. So it's like you don't want to have like these model-esque looking people necessarily.
Right.
You want people that have like distinctive features. So when he makes the caricature of them, he's emphasizing those features. But
And
it's kind of crazy.
it's also, you got to know that Owen Klein, the director and writer of the movie, is a cartoonist as well.
See, I did not know that.
I think he did that on purpose, like to give them all, like, it's almost like he made a cartoon of this kid's life through film, which is part of why I like the style, the wardrobe, the set design, and all that too. Because it's all, if he's in a room that feels uncomfortable, you feel uncomfortable. He creates a mood in it, and that is actually pretty good with the minimalistic take he does with like lighting and everything. Even when the teacher, that was the best part of cinematography in my mind for this movie, was he was talking to the teacher, where you see like the kid is just, he's got this light on him, but the teacher's got two, because he's got the warm light on one side and the cool light on the other, because he's literally telling him, like, you're at a crossroads in your life. Like, what are you drawing for? Like, what are you drawing figures for? You're a cartoon.
Yeah.
You have this gift. You're going to be good. Why go to, like, my favorite line was, he goes, what are you going to go to college for? They're just going to break you. They're just going to make you part of the system, like, and you don't belong there, and that to me is like, it's advice I've given to certain people. I they might benefit from that. Other people are part of that system. Like, that's what they're bred for. And it's just one of those things. Like, we need people to go to college and be in debt. Otherwise, the economy doesn't work.
That advice, like, it hit me pretty. Like, it got me too.
Yeah,
because and it's not, but it wasn't college. Like, it's meeting people that work at Disney, their animation department. They are like forced to draw that Disney style. And like you see like their original, like their old artwork, and they look at it and like they've actually said, I'm not sure I can do that. Like, I could probably get back to that, but it's going to take some work to break this Disney style. Because I mean, like, and I'm talking like way back, 20 years ago, when they were doing hand drawn cells and they're drawing the same things, each frame. Like, you do it so much for so long that's just, they tell you to draw a face, it's a Disney style face.
Remind me after the show to tell you guys about a possible Me Too moment in trying to work for Disney Animation. It didn't happen to me, but that's why I won't say it on the air. But
okay.
But yeah, and that like, to me, that was like right in the movie. And then then he does the weird thing where he gets naked and he has them draw.
Yeah.
He leaves, and you don't know if it's weird or not. Like,
no, it's weird.
No, it is weird, but that's what the kid, like, he was drawing people.
The kid was uncomfortable. Like, I
knew. Can I tell you the weirdest part about the whole thing?
Is when he goes to talk to him in the street.
No, the weirdest part is that this fool took off all his clothes but kept on his shoes and his socks.
Yeah, it's like,
that's the weirdest part, right? Where I'm like, my guy, like, what do you need to be bracing for? Like, what has happened? Like, look, I feel like that was the part that made him be like, you know what, my alarm went off, and it's like, this phone don't have no alarm. Like, come on, man. This guy, oh no, I gotta get home, man. He's like, hey, I'll give you a ride. He's like, no, I'm good. I love this walk. I'm not mad at him. I'm like,
And
you know what? This
then the
fool put his clothes on way too quick and got in his car and came and found me. Like, no, I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm straight.
But yeah, and now yeah, it's a weird scene, and the movie like it's a dark comedy, coming of age comedy about a kid with wants to be a comic book artist. So it's not it's not American Pie. It's
Right.
not a dark American Pie. Yeah,
Right.
but it is what this is, and I want to like that's where I'm like, well, how much of this is Owen Klein's like experience in
Right.
becoming a filmmaker or deciding what he wants to do, whether it's film or cartoon, you know. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I found it really interesting, especially like when the kid, like he's like, oh, like the what's the dude's name? Wallace,
yeah,
the dude that used to work at Image, right?
yeah,
He's like, where's your superhero stuff? And the kid is like, oh, well, I'm not really into superhero stuff. I'm more into like the whole like humor type of thing, like the humor comics and the like, the more like rare kind of like one-off type joints. Like that's my jam from a comic book perspective. And I'm like, man, like that's really interesting because I can't say that I've met that person, but knowing comics, I'm like, I know that person's out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's so wild because I could totally see, like, it's almost the same way how you have like some kids in this day and age that are like, no, man, I just love records. And it's like, and it's not like there's a lot of those people, but they're there where they're just like, records are my jam. Like, I feel like, when people talk about, oh, they're like, I have a grandpa that was like, the quality of a record and that sound is something different than you can get with digital audio. And that resonated with me. And so I listened to a record and I was like, he's right. And I'm just like, wow, like that felt like that to me, where it's like the kid out there that's like, no, this is not an MCU thing. This is like my grandpa handed me like friggin' somehow I came across like friggin' some random cartoonist collection of comics, and I was like, dude, I love this. And I'm like, man, like so that was, I think that was the part for me that was like
me with Sandman.
Wow. Huh?
Like me when I first read Sandman.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, because that wasn't necessarily the dominant or the prevailing medium of the time. But you're right, it was a niche, right? Where you mess around and you like dug deep into that Vertigo stuff. And Vertigo was considered at that point like a boutique kind of comic book imprint, And it's like, yeah, is that same kind of deal where I was like, wow, like I could totally see that, just because it's like you never know what resonates with people. And some people just look at something and they're just like, no, that's that, like I'm into that. And I love how that perpetuated throughout the movie, where the dude was like, no, like this is what I draw, this is what I like. This guy has like an Archie collection. And the guy's like, hey, I can't give you anything for these Archies because nobody wants that. And he's like, well, and he understands, but he's like, I got Archie in my collection because I like Archie. It's like, listen, I got a whole run of Bishop comics that I know that if I decide to sell my comic book collection, nobody's gonna pay any money for those Bishop comics. At least not right now. Yeah, I guess, like, who knows?
Disney
right,
Plus, Bishop. Yeah.
Right. When the MCU X-Men reboot comes and it turns out Bishop got his scarf, then I'm like, all of a sudden, cats gonna be like, oh, what's up with these Bishop comics? It's like, yeah, you love that red scarf, don't you, bitch? No. Oh man, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but I really, and again, I didn't know anything about Klein and his cartoons background,
Yeah.
And that very well might be like a semi-autobiographical kind of thing where he's just like, that's what I resonate with too. But whether that is the case or not, just the fact that he gave that kid that like particular proclivity is pretty awesome. Because it feels, I guess, it feels potentially true to life to me as
How
a
do you guys
comic
feel
fan.
about the friend massaging his shoulders while he was inking?
That was weird.
So weird.
'Cause,
So
like,
weird.
He was having an argument,
So
right?
weird.
Yeah.
Like he was
I mean,
arguing
they
with
weren't.
him and massaging him.
Well, he wasn't arguing with his friend. He was arguing with Wallace.
He's arguing with somebody and while massaging this dude. Like
Listen, but from the beginning, it was like, okay, this dude is clearly in love with him. like from day one, I was just like, oh, it felt that way to me. Like the way he was talking to him. I'm literally like from the first scene where they're at their locker. I was like, okay, like he's talking to this kid like,
a little,
you know. Yeah, right. He's like, yeah, why are you so close? And he's like, well, you know. He's like, I just want to kiss you. He didn't say that, but that's what he was feeling. That's what he's feeling. It was just like, dude, like, and it's a wild thing because it was just like they don't ever explore that in the movie. It's literally like subtext.
Yeah.
And that's a wild thing, but I guess that's something that can happen, right? Like this dude's like, look, I love you. He's like, you don't think my hair is pretty? He's like, you know, and that's the funny, like the wild thing is like, it's not like there's any girl that ever like really comes up throughout the course of this whole thing. This dude's focused. He's hyper focused on trying to become a comic book artist, right? So, you know, but this dude is like, hey, you know, look, you love that. I love it too. I'm gonna try to be a comic book artist. I don't know talent, but you love it, so I'm gonna try to do it. And he's like, why you gotta be like this? Why I'm out here trying to do what you do. You know, he's like, why can't you just be encouraging? It's like the dude 100% wants to be his lady. And that's okay. Like I'm not knocking it. It's just one of those things where it's like, wow, it's a wild thing where it's just like that is like, again, it's like a subtextual thing seemingly throughout the whole movie, but it doesn't ever get addressed directly. And it's like, it feels like, well, there could be space for that, but I guess they did. That's not the story they wanted to tell. So, you know, look, I'm not here to tell somebody how to make their movies, but I saw it though.
We'll give you a rating of goat screams
on just that subtext alone. Right, just that. But it was very weird because it was just like a thing where it's like, and you could tell the dude, like, oh boy, is uncomfortable. He's like, you know, he's like, dude, like,
here's only uncomfortable because it was during an argument.
well, here's what I'll say, and as weird and strange as that entire interaction was with him and his friend, and even how strange the whole interaction with that friend is throughout the entire movie, right? Let me tell you what's weirder to me, because, you know, as you brought it up, like, man, did you think that shoulder massage was crazy? And it's like, yeah, that's crazy. But you know what's crazier? Inviting some random dude you don't know over to the house on Christmas Day. I was like, what is this? Like, first of all, you don't even live there.
And you know he's nuts.
Well, but here's the thing. It's not even about whether he's mentally stable or not. It's Christmas. Like, you went home, like, in the wee hours of like, Christmas morning. If you want to call it Christmas Eve, you can potentially do that because it might have been late enough to, like, but it was technically Christmas morning, right? Because you found the dudes masturbating. So, okay, I get it. I'm not saying you should have stayed there. I'm saying technically you moved out. You don't live there. You came back to the house in the wee hours. Your parents are like, or your dad saw you or whatever. But I'm just like, okay, cool. But how do you invite like some person? It doesn't even matter whether you know them or not. If your parents don't know who this dude is, how you gonna invite him over on Christmas Day? Christmas Day? Come on, man. That's crazy. Like, as far as up until that point, it don't even seem like your parents knew you were going to even be there Christmas night. So they thought you were coming over to visit. If you come, like, I'm just saying, and maybe it works different in other households. I know for me, you can't bring just whoever you want to the house on Christmas Day. You better have a conversation before that happens. But
my
apparently,
Definitely after the bathroom incident, like, dude, my dad would have kicked that guy out so quick, and then kicked my ass for bringing him in the house in the first place.
that's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, it's Christmas. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not speaking of it from like necessarily a religious perspective, because I understand that, like, yeah, if you're a Christian, that's a whole different thing. And I am, but I'm not even talking on that level necessarily. I'm just saying, like, Christmas is for family, whether you're religious or not. So it's just like, who are you inviting? How well do you know them? We don't know them. Like, are you sure that they're gonna vibe right? Like, don't ruin Christmas with some random.
Also, these are like just bad parents. I mean, the dad's telling them, "Oh, you can't go up there with that dude," and the kid just like goes up there, and they like the dad never comes up like, "Well, I thought I said don't come up here. This dude's crazy." Like,
I
he
mean,
goes
listen,
up there. The friend goes up there.
I'm not gonna
ensues.
I'm not gonna call them bad parents.
After he got caught stealing too.
I
Like,
mean, I'm not
if
gonna
my mom
call
caught me
them.
going through her purse, like I wouldn't be sitting here today.
I believe that 100%.
Like, I would have
I'm
been
not
aborted
going.
so quick.
You would have been aborted. Post abortion.
Postpartum abortion.
It's
Post.
California. It doesn't matter when.
Oh, see, I'm just saying. It's like, I'm not here to tell people. Like, I have 0 kids, so I'm not going to tell people how they can or how they should or shouldn't raise their kids. What I'm saying is, I agree with you 100%. In the era that we grew up in, it would have been different. At the same time, there are plenty of things that happen to each one of us that would be considered potentially abuse. So I'm not, in this day and age, I don't think of it as abuse, and I'm sure, or I feel relatively confident that neither one of you would consider it abuse at this point either. But what I'm saying is, it's like, again, we don't know when this movie takes place. Like, those parents aren't necessarily poor parents. They're just parents in the era that isn't our era. So, but don't get me wrong. I agree with you. Like, I feel like that dad could have done more if you really wanted to keep his kid from going upstairs with a potentially crazy person. Like, the way things pan out at the end don't happen if everybody's downstairs, probably. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, it's a wild thing, man. It's crazy, man. I'm just like, oh.
So, Larry, you know what's better than goat screaming? Is that guy's friend screaming with a pen in his head.
So crazy. It was crazy. And you're right. Like, it is definitely in that same category where it's just like, oh. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't overdone. It was just like, geez, like, why is that the noise he chooses to make? Like I was like, oh. Look, and I'm just like, I'm like, my man doesn't know. Like, here's the thing. I'm not saying you need to know where the first aid kit is in your own house. I'm not saying you need to know that.
You don't go under the sink.
But if you know you don't know, why don't you ask? and I'm just like, man, he sure did abandon his poor friend. He was like, but I'm just like, it's crazy.
First aid kit. Look, he had duct tape and tissue, right? Done.
Yeah.
Done.
That would have been my household.
There it is.
Anyway. Get the duct tape.
100%. 100%. So it was a wild one. This is a wild flick. But I will tell you this. Well, you know what? Actually, I'll hold that for the review, for the actual or the rating, huh?
Heck has a question.
Oh, what's Heck's question?
Let's see. You guys have a aid kit?
I do have a first aid kit
Tape,
in this house.
not even tissue, toilet paper.
My first aid kit is just it's some band-aids.
And Fabuloso.
No, yeah, it's like a little travel bag, and it's just like band-aids and Q-tips and a gun.
Q-tips?
Yeah.
What do Q-tips do?
I don't know. Sometimes you don't
if somebody gets shot, like that's to clean up bullet holes.
That's a tampon.
Maybe. Yeah, tampons.
Well, that's to plug bullet holes, not to clean them.
Yeah, absorbent. Oh, here's my.
They are absorbent.
There's alcohol in these. There you go.
Listen, I happen to live with somebody that is very retentive. So so we do in fact have a first aid kit on hand. So yeah, but hey, you know, I mean, we don't.
I got wipes and whiskey.
There you go.
And tape. I have tape.
That's a World War II first aid kit.
For the greatest generation, it's good enough for me.
All you needed was a little peg of wood to bite down on. You're like,
if I got whiskey.
Here's some whiskey. You're like, let's wipe this off.
Dog toy.
Actually, yeah.
There it is. Bite down, Oz. Bite down. We're gonna chop it off. There it is. What are you gonna say, Mo?
No, that he has the. I never use the first aid kit when I need it. Like it's for emergency.
Yeah. No, I hear that.
Heck says I got boxes of band-aids that have been there since I was 12. Bactine, if it's real bad, generic Neosporin. I mean, that's all you really need, really. Like, I mean, I have iodine solution. I bought some of that recently because it helped me when I needed it. But I haven't used it since.
I would suggest at least one bottle of hydrogen peroxide.
Oh yeah, I got that.
And right, huh?
Yeah, for his hair. That's how you.
For his hair, and maybe a thing of bandages just in case, like you know, like actual like cloth bandage, not band-aids, but like actual bandages in case somebody gets actually hurt.
Yeah.
If they're that hurt, I mean, survival.
I use a lot of well, not a lot, but I do use a fair amount of hydrogen peroxide regularly because I brush my teeth with it, and then
You really?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it does a great job, but that doesn't taste good, right?
It doesn't taste good and doesn't feel good after, but it feels clean.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
And I also use it to soak my marijuana plants in a solution of hydrogen peroxide with water to get rid of any mold. You don't want to smoke any mold in, you know?
Nice. There you go. All right. Invite us over, Mo. Invite us over.
Not me.
I figured someone was going to say just Gorilla Glue.
Listen, Gorilla Glue can work.
Heck says we can't afford Gorilla Glue.
Listen, if you got Gorilla Glue, you don't need those bandages.
Big guy says, who said you bought it?
Oh damn, we're lifting. Hey, we're out here shoplifting Gorilla Glue. Listen,
I have been stabbed in the hand and used super glue, not Gorilla Glue, just regular glue.
Yeah, no, 100%. If you have hydrogen peroxide or some sort of wet wipe or something like that, and Gorilla Glue or super glue, that works. Like that's what super glue was made for. So you know,
I used to work
it's
at the
all good.
store, and I would get cut. I would just.
Anyway, let's rate Funny Pages. Oz, what would you rate Funny Pages?
I'm gonna go with 2. So it's a really well shot student film.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, Moses Magnum, what would you rate Funny Pages?
I would give it a 3. It was a little bit more enjoyable, even with its weirdness. I like weirdness, so it's like reading one of the comics I like to read, like Andrew M. Ford's Rib, if you can find that.
Wow,
it's one of those weird ones. So I did enjoy it. It could have been better. Like it's still not like a great film, but I'm in. Like if he makes another one or another film, Owen Klein, I'd be down to check it out based on what I've seen. So yeah, I'd give it a 3.
Yeah, I'd give it 3.75. I liked it, but it's really strange. Yeah. And it's one of these movies where it's like, when you talk about a movie that's niche, oh, this joint's super niche. Like this is like, when you like, I can totally see people that like indie films and they would be like, I did not like that one. Yeah. But I think if you enjoy comics, no, that's not the right way to say it. Right, because like I'm gonna say, like that's the wild part. Like this joint is literally about a kid trying to break into the comic industry and his like journey over a certain period of time, and it's not even about whether you like comics or not. It is about how you feel about the industry as a whole, and how you feel about how you feel about the comic industry and how you feel about the indie movie industry, and where those two intersect.
You keep saying he wants to break into the comic industry. I don't think this kid knows what he wants. Like we
you don't think so?
He wants to break into the comic industry, and the guy asks him, "Well, where's your superhero stuff?" Oh, I ain't into that. I don't do that. Like what? Like he wants to be a professional artist. I'll give him that.
He's gonna be a cartoonist,
right? Yeah. You don't do cartoony stuff at DC, Marvel, Image. Those guys. Like,
I mean,
go
eventually you do. I mean, if you're like Scotty Young or Chris Anthopoulos, like
you get how you start though.
It's not how you start, but again, and that's kind of like where it's like that's how the color separatist got the job. He was a color separatist because he didn't start as a cartoonist, but that's what he wanted to be too. Yeah.
Where's Scotty Young's like mainstream superhero stuff? I've never seen that. I'm just saying, like, I don't like as far as all I've seen is Scotty Young as a cartoonist, and I don't know how he's got his start in regards to like, you know, but I'm not saying he's the main like the example either, because I understand that his thing is very niche as well. But the thing is, like, the kid wasn't even trying to be in the superhero space necessarily. He just wanted another mentor because he just lost his last mentor, you know, and he's just like, hey, I'm grasping at straws here because the only dude that I knew that did anything close to what I want to do died, and I kind of feel like it might be my fault. which is a wild thing, which is only barely explored as well, but I feel like that is like an undercurrent of the whole thing. Like it's, and I think that that's what makes the movie interesting to me, where it's like there are all these things under the surface. There's a lot of little different layers to it, and it's like you could, like, depending on how you want to watch this movie, you can either see that and take that in or not. You don't have to. It could 100% be just a like day in the life of this random kid, and you know, you might be like, oh well, he got over that real quick. But I feel like the way that the performance is handled, there's an interpretation of it where it's like, nah, this fool didn't get over that at all.
Yeah, it's all consequences of him not grieving properly.
Mm-hmm. And now his friend is stabbed. which is like crazy. Which yeah, it's a wild flick. But I liked it. I did like. I'm happy I watched it. Is what it boils down to. Like because I was just like, man, like it's just like the whole thing is just weird though. Like the whole thing is weird and not like. Here's the thing. Most people don't do well with being uncomfortable. And this movie is probably going to make you uncomfortable in a very real way at least 4 times as a regular person. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm just saying, like, for me, like, I don't really have an issue with being in an uncomfortable setting, but I recognize it for what it is, and I feel confident enough most times to navigate it. And I was watching this joint, and I was just like, wow, like I'm by myself. Like this is real weird. like I feel like I'd be more uncomfortable if I was watching this with other people.
I feel like you're challenging us to make you uncomfortable.
I mean, listen. You all have been with me. Like
I can dance on a table naked. Like you have no idea, which is the reason to keep my shoes on.
Listen, I don't know if you're trying to just make me laugh out loud, or I don't like. Wait, do you keep the tap shoes on? Is that what's happening, or is this just like a calluses thing? Is it calluses?
No,
like what's happening?
Shoes on to make the tappity sounds. I don't need.
Look, I'll sit there and draw you. Like I'll just be like in the joint with the really like unusually small penis. Say what?
Draw me like your French women.
It's like, but no, man. I just like I feel like most people who watch this joint and just be like, "What am I watching? Why am I watching this?" Like they would get to like maybe the real weird, uncomfortable moment number 2 and be like, I should stop.
You know, I saw the big fat dude taking off his clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm minimizing the screen because I'm at work. And we get through that. I'm thinking, okay, all right. So they're going for uncomfortable, but no dick. Eventually, there's a dick.
Right, right.
Dick.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
And
so I'm just like,
you guys want to hear the scream?
Sure.
I did it that quick, huh?
Stop! Stop! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Honestly, when you hear that, because you don't see them, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, what is that? What is that noise?
Wallace! What the fuck? What is going on? What the fuck? Wallace! What the fuck? Shoot us! Oh my god! Oh fuck! What the fuck? What? Put pressure on it. What? Pressure. What do I do? Get
It sounds so weird.
He did not help his friend. That's the most messed up part about the whole thing, where he's just like, I guess it'll be all right. I'm like, dude.
He just goes, opens the comic book shop, and just sits there.
So crazy, man. It's a crazy ass flick, and I'm just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it. A lot's happened, but I'm not certain that this course of action is the one that like has the best possible outcome. Like I feel like this is how you lose everybody, because like I'm just like your parents aren't gonna be happy, your friend not gonna be happy. You already got stomped out by your, I guess, quote unquote new mentor. Like it's like, listen, like you got to live in the comic book shop now. Like the comic book shop owner is the only person that likes you at this point. That's it. He might be look, and even he might be a little tipped. He's like, "Why'd you open on Christmas?" He's like, "What?
You got me open it on Christmas."
Yeah, he's like, that's the only day we don't open. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, why'd you do that? It's so weird, man. It's a weird flick. But anyway, all right. Anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
I think that's it, Leary.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Party people, Oscore. Give me some final thoughts, buddy.
I think one of my videos just went up yesterday.
Yeah, one of the Elder Scrolls.
That was good stuff.
We'll watch it, comment on it.
It's so funny because I was sitting here watching your joint and I was like, I'm not like a big Elder Scrolls guy, so I definitely don't know who that is. Who that character is.
Mike, but I forgot. It's actually just Mike. It's just
Either no, that guy's name is just Mike. No,
It's
Mike
Mike.
the Liar. But yeah, it's spelled weird. But
yeah, but still, they better not just pronounce it Mike. Like my man's like a tiger guy. He needs to be something else, not just Mike. Mike the Tiger. Like you don't sell cereal. Anyway. All right, Most Magnum, final thoughts.
The story of a guy trying to become a comic book professional is weird in the movie Funny Pages. But if you want to hear a story that played out a lot easier, we got our interview with Matt Hawkins, creator of Laser Dragon, Think Tank, and Swing. He's writing in the Sunstone universe right now. So check that out. That's up and ready. It's on our YouTube channel.
He's writing for Sunstone?
Yeah, he's writing the third spin-off.
Okay, so I haven't read that then.
Yeah, it's called Swing, and it's about and then there's another one called Swipe that he's working on about internet dating in the same universe. But yeah, you get all that information on that video.
Yeah, Cedric's getting his own universe, I guess. Okay.
So for the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you as always. Make sure you hit us up. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of. It's like we want to make sure we bring you what you want to hear about. So until then, we are the Fantastic Forum. We'll catch you next week. Good night.